Day 26. Eric sweats, I write. That's how it was going in the ICU. Eric was sweating, and they had to change his bed sheets often and his clothes often. And Eric sweats, I write, was how our days went. And he was so sick of being sick. And he was so sick of sweating and having to have bed sheets changed and gowns changed. And he was just so sick of being sick. And his spirits were so down. And we prayed, and I just sat and I just wanted to shout out to all the nurses because they were so kind and good and doing all of that extra for Eric, who needed his bed changed way more than average, and all the turning to prevent bed sores and all the treating of bed sores and making sure his lungs were clear and that his circulation was good and all his medications and his catheter was working, and all of those things that held Eric up are just hard stuff. And I just shout out to all nurses because you are truly a gift, and your gift is needed. And I know you could be burnt out and you could be so sick of it. Just as Eric was sick of being sick, you can be sick of all the sickness you deal with. But I just want to shout out, keep the faith, run and finish the race, serve the Lord. We need you. So Eric's spirits were down, and I've asked for more prayer. And later that day, Nurse Veronica had come in, and Nurse Veronica was the one who just said, God is in charge. Don't you ever forget that. And now she came in and she said, Eric is just doing so much better than most of the patients I see coming in to Hilo Medical with rat lungworm disease. She said most of them seem to end up going in a coma or needing to be intubated or tube fed, and she's like, Eric is just doing so much better than I have experienced. And I just say that's God's grace, and I'm grateful, and I believe in the power of prayer, and that God's grace was kind to allow Eric to not get to that point, and all the good nurses and the good doctors that were tirelessly helping, and your prayers. And later that day, they got Eric out of the bed, and they had him sit in a chair, and he was able to sit up in a chair for 10 minutes. That was max. That was exhaustion level. And he wasn't sitting without support, and his head was kind of nodding at the end, but he sat up, out of bed, first time in a long time. Praise the Lord. And he watched the Vikings. And they didn't do so good that day. But he did. And there was something that changed. He had a sparkle in his eye. And I thought, this is what I wrote. I said he's got 40 to 50 pounds muscle loss. He's skinny, and he has never been skinny. And he had an oxygen tube in his nose. And he was in a stinking ICU bed, and he looked amazing because the sparkle was back in his eyes. And Dr. Martell came in and said, we're out of the woods. Eric, you're out of the woods. Rehab would be starting, and that's a long road, but you're out of the woods. No more active parasites in your spinal fluid. Liz Reiner had emailed or called or messaged Eric, and she said, I woke up and I dreamt that I was praying for you. And then I looked down and my hands were folded. And I thought, oh my goodness, I am praying for you while I sleep. And that brought another twinkle to Eric's eyes. And there was a sweet, sweet message from his classmate, Madison Rogue. I think she graduated with him or around that time. And her dad was dying, and she was by his side at the end. And Madison, in her grief, in her deep sorrow, was thinking of Eric. And she said, she asked her dad to be Eric's guardian, to see him to full recovery. Oh, what selfless love. Grief-stricken at her father's bedside, thinking of others. That is what makes the world go round. And I don't know. When the sparkle's back in eyes, it doesn't matter if the physical is still struggling, and when people are so kind and good to pray in their sleep and to think of others in their grief, that's love. May we love better than we do, and may we love well. There's always room for improvement, but love makes the world go round, and in this season of Advent, let us be kind and good to one another. See you tomorrow.